Good morning and welcome to Breakfast Central. Thank you for joining us. We don't know where you're joining us from. If you're joining us, for those in Lagos, if you're joining from your homes or you're joining from your cars or you literally just maybe got back to your home or you're literally walking from the house to the office, we just want to say sorry. Sorry, really, that's what it is.
Take heart.
Take heart. Our thoughts and our prayers are with you. I'm Olive Emodi and you're welcome to the show.
And I'm Benga Bora. This is Breakfast Central. We have a lot in store for you. It's a really packed day. And we start off wake-up conversations with the obvious and the biggest conversation, if not in the country right now. We're reaching you from Lagos, the center of excellence. But what happened yesterday wasn't so excellent. Let Olive take over from here because she experienced the mother of all traffics, just to put it lightly. Well,
the mother of all traffics was yesterday. Traffics, is that a word? But yes, it was yesterday. It was terrible. From a number of us left the mainland to get to the island, and I think we ended up spending over 5 hours in traffic. And just when I was thinking my situation was very bad, I put up on my stories ranting about this. And I then started to get reactions from people who experienced this. And we'll take their reactions shortly. But it's an indictment on the leaders that we have. There's in ministries involved, the Ministry of Works, Transportation, Lagos State government, the federal government. Look at that video. Reports have it that this video was shot at 1 a.m. On my way to work this morning, there were people who are just getting home. Right? There were people who said to me, I went for a meeting in VI and I'm only just getting home. And even now I can't get a taxi back to my house. There were situations where parents couldn't get across to their children. Someone responded to my story saying that her friend couldn't get across to her kid and had to call the owner of the creche to take the kid. I mean, look at, nobody deserves to live like this.
Nobody deserves this. I've been in 4 hours traffic and I thought, it was the worst day of my life. Imagine people that spend 12 hours here. Imagine children coming back from school. It's never been this bad in the history of Lagos. Yesterday's traffic was the absolute mother of all traffics. And like Olive said, it's an indictment on our leaders. Do you not model things? Do you not test run? Do you not simulate some of these things? Lagos has 25 million people. The number of cars you have in Lagos, to know where the traffic diversion, if it would work for this, and what happens in a situation where it rains and there's also traffic diversion. They should have thought these things out thoroughly. Imagine doing this. And the worst part is they wanted to close that bridge for 2 months. Yesterday,
2 whole months.
The 2 whole months. I guess after seeing videos and reactions of Nigerians, they rescinded that decision. So what happens to the repair of the bridge? Where there was the bridge, did the bridge fail integrity test? Was it just cosmetic repairs that they wanted to fix on the bridge? So many questions that deserve answers, but this is heartbreaking.
This is terrible,
to say the least.
I'm going to read some people's reactions because I posted about this as well. I'm going to read some people's reactions. Someone says to me they had spent 5 hours. Okay, this is Oyiga Michael who said some people spend 4 hours for traffic before them reach work this morning. The same people currently they inside traffic as them don't spend another 4 hours to go back house after work. Worst part, rain beat them reach office, rain beat them go house. No be life with this. Oyiga Michael isn't the only one ranting. Dele Olawanle says, so I have been in traffic on Admiralty Way, Lekki, since 4 p.m. for a 10:50 p.m. flight, and we were at a standstill for 5 hours. Guess what? I missed the flight. Leaving home for 6 hours may not be enough if you don't want to miss your flight. Were you in the area? Maurice Moyer says, the worst Lagos traffic in the history of traffics. Guinness World Record contender, actually unreal, and I totally think I should start this tweet. I completely agree. Yesterday was horrible. Otumba Sheun says, I have used 5 hours, 56 minutes, and still counting. From Lekki Phase 1 to Adiola Depot.
This is painful.
That should naturally be around 10 minutes. Lagos State government can really do better. They failed the slightest test of competency. That's from Otumba Sheun. Rainmaker says, 1:35 a.m. on Lekki Koyi Link Bridge, and it's still bumper to bumper. It took 4 hours to get to Lekki 1 from VI. Is it just this Independence Bridge closure that messed up the entire city this way? Where's the urban planning resilience that Lagos claims to have? And, there's still other ones. Ayo Bankole spent 3 hours from Lekki to the airport to catch a flight. 2 hours of it was between Freedom Way and Lekki Ikoyi. He says it will be evil for the government not to respond and strategize on the repair works. What happened today is unsustainable in a 2025 megacity. And Ayo Bankole's case is even good. If he spends 3 hours from Lekki to the airport, look at the other man who spent 5 hours and still missed his flight, right? Somebody was saying that if you are going to America, you will get to America before people in Lagos traffic will get to their own homes.
I mean, it's really, really sad. I saw a tweet yesterday. Someone said the life expectancy in Lagos State from just yesterday has dropped to 25 years old. Because these things have serious health implications and mental implications for the three people. Right. It's beyond apologies. I mean, they've been getting away with...
No.
Understand.
I agree. Well, I know that you say it's beyond apologies, and I can understand, but I think we deserve an apology. They put out a memo yesterday telling people how to navigate. Have they apologized?
You think they will not apologize?
No. It's not just apologize for putting out a press release. They should actually sit down in front of a camera and make a video and apologize to Lagosians. Do you know what people went through? There are people that... Imagine health emergencies. Imagine those that, had to be at the hospital. See someone now missed his flight. Are they going to reimburse him for the flight he's missed?
No compensation.
We're talking about parents. A follower told me that her child was trapped in school, a 3-year-old child. People were with their kids. Even as I'm talking to you now, somebody has just responded to my DM again on Instagram, and I'm just going to read it out. It's heartbreaking. Someone says, hold on, let me just read this one. She says, I started my journey at 5 p.m., got to Ogudu, 11:40 p.m. That's how many hours? About 6 hours plus. When I got to Alexander Road, I begged one security of a company to allow me use their toilet. Imagine how dehumanizing it is.
Multitudes of people that went through the same thing.
You stop on the road.
Really sad.
You stop on. So as a man, I mean, I'm not trying to bring in any gender thing, but you know how you men can maneuver to pee on the way. As a woman, I now want to pee on the way inside that traffic. What will I do? It's terrible.
And you're not supposed to even publicly urinate. So imagine the men that were obeying the laws, rightfully obeying the laws. What will happen to the state of their bladder?
Nah.
It's really
just terrible. To say that Lagosians deserve an apology. Not just a written apology, a video apology from all involved. We absolutely deserve an apology. But beyond the apology, this should never happen again. They've lifted off the closure. They've said that they've opened the road. Yes. But what happens? I haven't been on the road, but I hear that the road has been broken. So what then happens? What are the next steps?
I would like to confirm that to you. Our correspondent was at the Independent Bridge yesterday. They had visuals of excavators. They've dig like 3 meters into that road in just 24 hours. So I don't know. You say, let the bridge be open. It's going to take a while to put back asphalt on that road and make it motorable. So today, there you go.
I'm looking for
that's the visual.
So how do we cross this?
How do you fix this?
How?
And I'm sure they didn't work overnight. And what happens, I mean, this is emergency services. What happened on the public holidays? Why didn't you do this?
Well, it's terrible. If we are to keep up with modern best practices, let's behave like others. Look at so lifting up this closure. What does it do for us? So am I going to experience the same rubbish again today?
Excavator is Okadas and Kekes will pass there, and the cars will wait till when they fix it.
Just to mention that there are many people that should be held culpable. And I think that we deserve an explanation from the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi. We do deserve an explanation from the Lagos State government. We deserve an explanation. I saw the Lagos State Ministry of Transportation yesterday issue a press release by their Deputy Director of Public Affairs, Mrs. Bolanle Ogunlola. She signed it, and this press release was advising motorists on where to pass and where not to pass, void of empathy. If this is confirmed to be directly from the Lagos State Ministry of Government, void of empathy, void of emotion, just saying, oh, motorists should not pass here. Nah, that's not how we roll. Just to mention.
When they do the Third Mainland Bridge repairs, it's totally different. It's a major artery. And thank goodness there's the Carter Bridge, there's the alternative route to get to the mainland. But this is within the city. How many alternative routes and how much volume can it handle? They should have envisaged that it was going to lead to this. Like I said earlier, they should have simulated all possible scenarios. You block the bridge, there's rain. You block the bridge, there's a road closure somewhere. What happens? But
look at, it says the bridge was closed down 2 days ago by the federal government for urgent repairs. And, so my issue is our last-minuteness. Allow me to use that
and
word.
Anyhowness
our
also.
Anyhowness. So you know that you're going to repair the bridge in thinner climes. I'll give an example. In the UK, for example, they need to close certain routes. You have notice ahead of time. You are seeing flyers everywhere.
Travel
They're making
advisory, yes.
The travel advisory goes far and wide. How many people knew that these roads were going to be closed yesterday? How many people knew that the road had been closed? And what stops us from working like other senior climbs that would say, you know what, we'll shut the roads down at night so that we can do our work.
Exactly.
And in the daytime, we'll then allow passage so that we can mitigate. Lagos is a mega city, it's an urban city. Our population cannot contend with last-minute drastic measures. We can't do that. It's very, very, very thoughtless.
I mean, even without the road closure, we're already dealing with issues of traffic, and then you compound it with this road closure. I wonder how soon they will be able to fix this road so it's more tolerable. A lot of people went through a lot yesterday. But moving on from...
as we are moving on, just to say to people that to employers of labor as well, please, if we can manage this season, manage the situation. You know that we're typically 3 on the show. Johansson would have been here, but unfortunately, this whole drama has been part of what has prevented him from being able to come on air. So for employers of labor, if you can make exception for your staff, please try as much as you can. For those who can work from home, allow them work from home. So until this whole drama is sorted out and we know what the next steps are, because we're increasing the cortisol level, shortening the lifespan of Nigerians, and like I said, we deserve an apology, not a written apology, a video apology from the federal government, from the state government, and an assurance that this will never happen again. We should be embarrassed and ashamed of ourselves for what has happened. Now let's move on.
Yeah, from Lagos, we move to neighboring Ogun State, where something very outrageous is happening. Parents drag Ogun school over incision on student bodies. And you know what mothers are. Imagine your child coming home and you see incisions on his or her body after school. Let me tell you the story. 2 parents have accused a private school in Arepo area, Ogun State, of carrying out unauthorized incisions on their children's bodies. The parents on Tuesday said the incision resulted in health complications in the children. One of the affected parents, Abosede, the mother of the 4-year-old young boy, said she discovered the incision on her son's stomach on March the 2nd. She claimed to have initially noticed the mark after he complained of persistent itching on the side of his stomach. Abosede explained that 3 weeks after discovering the mark, her son fell ill and had to be taken to the hospital, where doctors confirmed that the incision had caused an infection. I mean, this is just heartbreaking to
First of all, as I try to put myself in the position of a mother, there'll be problem. As a mother, that my child will come back home and tell me that there were incision marks on their body, and as a school that I put you in their care.
Private school.
And this is not the first time that we've seen private schools come under fire for their lack of attention to detail with regards providing and taking care of the children. We've seen that in the unfortunate scenarios where we've had to lose certain children's lives. You know, there's Whitney, because I had to go over, there's Sylvester, who, whilst there's a court judgment about it, the parents and some of the witnesses would argue differently. So as schools, I don't know if schools understand the responsibility that lies on them, the responsibility on their shoulders to guarantee the safety and security of a child. The moment a parent drops a child in your school, it's not just about the education and what they'll learn. These are key. But also you are invariably signing a contract guaranteeing that their kids are safe and that the way they brought their kids is how do you return their kids to them. You return my child and there's a mark on my child.
I'm just wondering, what excuse in this world can the school have? What sort of subject allows you, or what decisions are you making? Even when people vaccinate in schools, they're written that there's a consent form that is sent out.
You know why?
And the parents are aware. But incision, for what?
You know why? Because in other cases where there have been major infractions by certain schools, we haven't seen drastic measures. In these cases where these children have died, how many schools have been permanently shut down? How many schools have had their administrators thrown in jail?
Or their licenses withdrawn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you see that there aren't strong measures, of course, you will then start to expect that people will do whatever they want to do and get away with it. You can get away with it because, you know, they will go appeal to the parents, there'll be a media noise about it, and after a while, everything will fizzle out and life will return to normal. So we have a culture of impunity because we absolutely don't know how to be able to hold schools to account, hold institutions to account. And it's just really sad. I hope the parents really follow this thing to the latter. Somebody needs to go to
exactly. There has to be serious and severe consequences. You're not just you're doing this to a minor in the first place, and then it's bodily harm and it has health implications. So the offenses are just numerous, and there should be serious and dire consequences for the school and, of course, those involved in this really, really terrible act.
Well, we'll bring more updates regarding that story as we receive it. Now let's move to our next story. This time, we're talking about the Ministry of Livestock that came under heavy criticism when it was being established, because people are asking, why exactly is there a need for a Ministry of Livestock to be established when we do have a Ministry of Agriculture now? The interesting part is several months after the establishment of Nigeria's Federal Ministry of Livestock Development, FMLD, there's still no website. Checks show that the only ministry in Nigeria without a website is this one. There are also no designated official social media accounts for the ministry. Recall that in July 2024, during the inauguration of the Presidential Committee on Livestock Reforms, President Bola Tinubu hinted at the creation of FMLD, talking about the sector's being positioned to boost agricultural productivity and enhance export opportunities. So tell me why months later, I mean, they had been given a 21 recommendations, including, this was the panel that gave President recommendations, including creation of Ministry of Livestock. And when you hear the arguments for the Ministry of Livestock, they will tell you about how, even with regards to our challenges with herdsmen and grazing, that this will be a lasting solution. Unfortunately, it has proved abortive. So why do we not have any explicit communique regarding the Ministry of Livestock? Why do we not know what is happening in that ministry?
The mandate.
Are there people that are being paid? Are there directors? Are there leaders? Are there people that are being paid salaries in this ministry? You know, so these are the questions to be asked. I hope that public office holders understand that there is they owe a duty of care and a duty of accountability to the public. And in this day and age, the way that you do that is by social media, by your website, by X, and by these other platforms where you put necessary information. It's not a thing to be like, I'm working, so I'm not going to show you people. I don't owe you, people are not the one. We are the ones that put you there. You are there to serve Nigerians. So I hope that they do the needful and we get a proper explanation as to why exactly the Ministry of Livestock does not have a website or social media presence. But as we get more information in that regard, we'll bring it to you again. For those of us who are in different parts of Lagos, would like to get updates regarding what the traffic situation is around your area. Those who would have to go from the mainland to the island, they say that the Independence Bridge has been opened. Has it been opened? We'll be connecting with our correspondents who will be bringing us live feed as well.
We'd also like to give credit to the Punch newspapers for that story on the insertion on student bodies in Ogun State.
All right, let's share with you the top stories we're looking at this morning on Breakfast Central before we delve in proper into our conversations. This morning on Breakfast Central, top stories. Tribunal throws out opposition petition against Governor Okpebholo. And Kogi government accuses Natasha of lawlessness in homecoming rally. Away from Kogi government, we also will be looking at the state of the nation, analyzing it, looking especially in the most recent times, what has been happening with traffic for those in Lagos. Federal government set to halt importation of solar panels. What does this mean for energy? And we'll be reviewing the newspaper front pages. Join us for all these and more. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. Good news, the team is complete now. We have Joe Hansen back on set. Good morning, Joe. Sorry about what you went through. Do you want to share with the great people?
You don't look like what you've been through.
No, we don't. We don't. We've been
You're
through the fire.
very resilient, just like Nigeria.
Joe.
Anyway,
It's not a laughing matter, my brother.
I've made up my mind I'm going to hold myself this morning. The reason is because if we are to, there's a popular song that I think cuts across the Gen Z and millennials that was done by Tiwa Savage featuring Dr. Seed. If I start to talk, you understand? The things that I would say, it's going to be beyond what a lot of Nigerians would actually be able to swallow. To be honest, I think we live in a banana republic, to be honest. I think Nigerians are being seen as maybe animals that are being trained by the owners. So whatever the owner decides that the animal will do, the animal has no choice. If the animal decides that it wouldn't work, the owner would flog the animal. Yesterday, Lagosians were flogged. It was as if we were flogged and told, shut up, this is what we're going to do, just follow. You have no say. Because this morning, while coming here, I can tell you that it has started already.
Oh my goodness.
You know, there's only one, and we saw a fake circulation online where the minister, is saying open open where? Where do you
The road that has been destroyed.
A road that has
I like
been...
that you called it a fake circulation,
it's
because if you give out that...
Because Nigerians don't believe that. It's fake. That open the road, let people... Where? Which road? What road? A road that they've already started excavating, breaking. We do have the videos.
Yeah,
if you have the video, we can put it up on the screen. It's there. So where do you want people to pass?
Again, I'm just saying that I don't think we've heard the worst of all the stories,
Yes,
the horror stories, you know. People are starting to share their experiences.
We left here. We left here around 11:30, about 11. Let's say 11:48
a.m.
a.m.
Yeah.
11:48 a.m. In Ikeja, and I was only able to get into the house at 10 p.m.
Make it make sense. Somebody who is going to
10 p.m.
Somebody who is going to London will have gotten to London.
Oh, by far.
Settled
South Africa.
in, will have eaten nice.
Think about that. Look at the screen. Look at what you've done to a city. And it pains me that a governor that you hold so much in high esteem has not deemed it fit to do a video. He's very active on social media. He has not deemed it fit to do a video to say, Nigerians, I am sorry.
It means
we are
they don't
sorry,
care.
please. I think we didn't get this one right. Why is it that is there any human feeling at all?
Zero.
It seems like there's nothing. There's no human
Even
feeling.
Olive highlighted it.
Nothing.
And, the press release that came out of the Lagos State government, devoid of any
Lacking of empathy.
Nothing, no emotions,
nothing.
Just, okay.
Like you rightly said it. Look, we're your masters. We flog you. Anything
We flog you. Listen,
we write. You must accept. I mean, it's terrible.
What will make
and
sense, honestly, is just like I said this earlier before you had come in. What will make sense is that we get an apology, a video apology, not a written apology. Say, dear Lagosians, you know, we didn't think this through. And one of the hallmarks of leadership, of great leadership, is accountability. Being able to say, okay, I didn't do well, I'm sorry. Sometimes you will get it wrong. It's unfortunate that this particular miscalculation on their part has cost Nigerians a lot. So what we deserve...
Can we see that?
I saw that press release. That press release.
Can we roll it?
Just scrolled on the screen there.
It was just giving orders.
Just calm down. Just keep scrolling. Let's see if we can keep scrolling. Just scroll.
So just giving you instruction. Motorists from this place, follow this place.
Exactly.
Traffic from this place, follow that place. Let's go back to the end.
Stop here now. Just stop here. Look at. Motorists heading to Inner Marina and CMS from Okpebholo way to use Ozumba Badiwe Avenue, inbound Aki Adeshola to connect Falomo roundabout. Deputy Director, with all due respect, did you use that route? Did you use it?
You know, it's so easy to write this.
Did you use this route? Did you use it yourself? Madam, did you use it? Even the governor, did you use this route? I bet you that nobody in power or anybody in government in Lagos State, none of them used this route. They did not.
Oh, do you know what was even funny? I saw a video on X where these people with their convoy, I should look for that video. People were still following one way. The VIPs were still finding their ways to maneuver through the traffic at the detriment of the Nigerian citizens.
So even in traffic, we're still not equal.
No, we're not.
I mean, it's terrible.
Let me also shock you. Do you know that if you're approaching from 1004, I'm using the the roads that they told all Nigerians to use.
Yes.
From 1004, as soon as you're approaching the toll gate, once you get to the former Mobile in Coates, of course it's been sold now, it now turns to one lane for everybody going to Lekki. The other side was already cordoned off. Those who were on the other lane and was blocked, they decided to come to this lane and take over that lane. And guess who was using that road as well? The security operatives. You know, they were blowing their sirens, using one way, and I'm like,
and you know what's even worse?
Chaos.
They didn't even,
like you said,
they didn't even assign people. They didn't even assign people to say, okay, this is going to be a challenge. Let's assign traffic operators to be on standby to help navigate the traffic. Nothing like that.
We spoke to last Olive during the sports show yesterday at 1 p.m. I mean, I was called to give a quick report on what's happening. We were at Onikoyi Bodilon Road. We were there for 2 hours, 45 minutes, no movement. No movement. And then I filed in a report from there. I joined the sports show, and then I filed in a report. A LASTMA official was there, and after the report, I asked him, he said he was only one LASTMA official, only one for that.
The whole
stretch of the road.
The guy was overwhelmed. He said he doesn't even know. He was busy trying to direct people, do this. At some point, he just stood and was watching. Who are you directing? How do you want to direct them? Where do you want them to go?
Again,
everywhere was blocked.
Again, I think the conclusion of this will be two things. First thing is, Lagosians deserve an apology from the Lagos State government and from the federal government, and not a written apology, a video apology
not a
for what happened. Because that obviously shows that we weren't prioritized. Our welfare wasn't prioritized. We deserve a public apology to say we didn't do well. We didn't think this through. We put the cart before the horse, and we're so sorry. And not just an apology, an assurance that this will never happen again. There are ways to go around this. Whilst I don't claim to be an expert with works or urban planning, but I would assume that another way, because we see this happen in other developed climes, they schedule it. You will give us a notice ahead of time and ensure that you put measures in place to be able to manage traffic. You can say, okay, we'll shut down the bridges at night, work on it at night, and in the daytime we'll loosen it. Even to think of shutting down a bridge in Lagos for 2 whole months. I think what happened is because the test was, they did it with...
There's no sense of urgency.
No, they did it in Third Mainland Bridge. Remember last year?
But Third Mainland was even scheduled at some point. From the morning hours, you could move, it's open. Once it's 12, it's closed to people who are moving inbound VI to
just complete shutdown now.
So you're shutting down in the middle of the city, a major
and guess what? You have CMS there, which holds that's Nigeria's Broad Street. Of course, there's Broad Street there. That's central business. That's where you have the central business. You have the biggest companies. That's where you have the Nigerian. You have the stock exchange, the stock market. Yes. You have everything there that is centralized. That, in short, adds to your GDP, adds to your IGR, adds to the economic growth of the state. Yes. And then you just decide to say, you know what? Let's shut it down. Well, let's say, well, to err is human. That's fine. But like we've said here, this is, what's the time now? It's just 7:33. We expect a video to say, listen, we are sorry. It is not when it is time for campaign. You go and eat Gugura Nepa with people. Show it now. Come out. Talk to people. Address them. We're humans. In as much as I feel like it's starting to look like an animal and the owner system, go ahead and talk to people and tell them, listen, we're sorry.
We also need a timeline. Like you said, it's beyond that statement that the Honorable Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, released saying, you know, they should open the Independence Bridge. It's beyond that. The bridge has been damaged.
I'm actually looking online to see if they've put out any...
When will things be normalized?
Video
and what's
apology.
the plan for the proper plan to repair that bridge? And what sort of repairs are you carrying out on the bridge? Is it cosmetic? Are you filling asphalt? Does it have to do with the integrity of the bridge? Nigerians need to know. These are just basic things that we deserve.
Well, anyway, this is not to mention the fact that beyond this drama, there's still the coastal highway that also causes some measure of traffic for those in work.
Let me tell you a story.
I experienced my own 2 days ago. I was crossing somewhere and then I had to go back. So
let me tell you a story about that coastal highway. Now, according to sources and people I know who always work there once in a while, that coastal highway the work there is moving on quickly. All right. if that route is opened, a lot of motorists will be able to, ply that route or route, whichever way you choose to call it, and then come out at Jakonde. Now, Jakonde Estate, of course, is just not far off from where you have, let's say, Kate and all those areas. So, yesterday, I decided to, in pain, turn and say, let me ply that route. Let me see if I can go there. Normally, I was expecting that as a government, that there's a road there and there's an emergency situation. We've not heard the collateral damage of what happened yesterday.
I say
we've not heard
no, we have not.
Yes, because the stories are still emerging. They are developing.
I shudder to imagine that there may have been people who may have died as a result. I hope not.
People had to be in hospitals. How were they able to get there on time?
I hope not, because if somebody can send me a message to say that, imagine a mother telling the owner of the crèche that please take my child home because you've been in traffic for 6 hours and you've not been able to get across to your child. It's really sad. We're waiting for the video apology and an assurance that this will never happen in Lagos again, and quite frankly in any part of Nigeria. But now let's move on to other conversations. The recent passage of the bill by the House of Representatives to establish states and local government police has once again brought the debate about their creation to the front burner, with insecurity challenges and slow response times by the police to internal security challenges. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, attempts to answer many unanswered questions about the effectiveness of a decentralized police force. Over to you, Joseph.
From banditry to kidnapping, terrorism and communal clashes, Nigeria's insecurity challenges have escalated beyond the control of the federal police. With just over 370,000 police personnel policing a population of over 200 million people, the country falls far below the United Nations recommended ratio of 1 officer for about 450 citizens.
The federal structure we have is having a form of unitary policy. Yes, it's called federal police, but it's only at the center. So, and the component, it doesn't reflect enough policing at the community level. And that's why you see, in order, nature of horse vacuum, in order to fill in those vacuum, people began to set up vigilant groups, self-defense organizations, and these are people that are not well trained.
To address this, the National Assembly is considering constitutional amendments that would allow state and local governments to establish and control their own police forces. Proponents argue that this will improve response time to security threats and enhance community-driven security efforts. But questions remain about its effectiveness, especially in the light of recent security failures, where about 16 northern travelers were brutally killed by suspected vigilantes in Edo State. Despite the presence of security formations nearby, officers were reportedly absent, leaving victims vulnerable to mob justice.
If you don't have the people's trust, you can't get the best out of them, right? So when you look at it, what you saw is a situation where the people are thinking, if we hand over these people to the police, would they really be properly be scrutinized and find out if they are actually terrorists, bandits, or whatever, right? So we have a system where there is a lack of trust between the people and the policing institution.
While some believe that state policing could have prevented such incidents, others want that without strict oversight, it could become a tool for political oppression.
Put them maybe in a kind of consolidated funding, whereby their funding is not subject to the dictates of the governor. Once the governor is dictating the funding, that's where the whole issue comes. Because he can use that funding as a kind of stick and carrot measure to dictate how that...
Like they do in most federal states, right? A governor might not be the person to appoint the commissioner of police. The commissioner of police might not even be answerable to the governor, technically. He might be answerable to the chief justice of the state and the state assembly. I mean, there are mechanisms that we can build to stop the governors from hijacking those state institutions.
With Nigeria requiring over 480,000 police officers to bridge the policing gaps, the lingering question remains, can state-controlled policing solve Nigeria's deep-rooted insecurity challenges, or will it create new dangers? In Abuja for News Central, Idong Joseph.
A very thorough report there by Idong Joseph talking about state policing and the impact of state policing regarding insecurity challenges. Whilst we talk about, for example, the Uromi killings, again, the impact of state policing comes to mind. And the question about what would have been done differently or what might have been a different outcome if state policing had been enforced in Uromi. Yes, the police did eventually turn up. Unfortunately, lives had already been lost. So this has been an ongoing debate, and I don't know what the
There's
next
also the question of maturity. Are we matured enough yet for state policing? Because there's a belief that, you know, chief executives that always act along party lines will manipulate them and use them as a
and who says that they can't even manipulate them now?
Militia.
Who says that even now that we haven't decentralized the police, that they are not being manipulated or they cannot be manipulated?
Decentralized police we've seen, because we've seen regional outfits, Agune Chamber in the east. We've also seen Amotekun. Some of them go, what do you call it? Ebubeagu. Yes. Some of them go beyond their constitutional scope. What's the business of Amotekun with if you're carrying dreadlocks or not? What's the business of Ebubeagu if you're wearing underwear or you're not wearing bra? So,
that one, I think that one was debunked. But regardless of what it is, we wouldn't be having this kind of situations if we had a proper structure where security was decentralized and we could see that everybody knows. See, I believe I've said this on the show before, where if you go to certain communities and there's been a theft, the ballet can fish out.
They know the bad eggs so we can do it. We can reform the current structure as it is, and then you post. And I think it happened during the last passing out parade of recruits. You post them to their local communities because policing is local intelligence. They know the bad boys in the area and all of that. So let's increase the number. Let's equip them. And also, some have recommended let's have a minimum standard. Every rank and file to the officer corps should be graduates, and you should pay them well. Look at a country like Singapore. The policemen in Singapore are one of the best paid in the world, and it gives you a sort of dignity. How do you even want to bribe someone that is earning so well? You wouldn't even think about it, and you respect the person regardless of your status in society. But what we see now, we see policemen and women holding handbags for VIPs. A lot of them are washing cars in their houses. It's a really
in particular,
sad
they do school runs a lot.
School runs, yes.
You see, our problems are deep. They are deeply rooted.
Today's should just.
You see, like I said today, I think our guests are better prepared. Because
everybody's angry today.
We're gonna proceed.
Our guests are better prepared because I think we're coming with the force of.
Even the guests too, they are feeling the impact of Nigeria. So
it depends on the guest.
Yeah, it depends on the conversation.
There are people that think we are just shouting that was there. And the biggest, they hate criticism. They don't like correction. Like Joe said, please, we own up. We didn't think this through. We're sorry. Air is human.
It's simple. Do you know that some people are trying to...
Are you perfect? Am I perfect? No one is perfect.
The people that even want to start tribalizing this whole thing
ordinary
on
supporters.
X.
Exactly.
Somebody came out and said, if Lagos is that bad for you to live, then go back to your...
I mean, it's the...
For people that are living, working and paying their tax in Lagos, you're telling them that if it's that bad, you should go back.
People like that no attention.
I mean, that's why you give it to few governors like Governor Alex Oti, who has removed the state of origin completely from where you are from the state. It doesn't exist.
That's what thinking.
And he said as long as you pay your taxes and all that, he has mandated everybody take that state of origin thing out in comparison to what we see or we've seen in Rwanda, where it should not exist. But then again, that's another conversation. But for this one, I think you guys have touched it clearly. Concerning the police, well, it's a conversation that it will last for a very long time. State policing. And I like the fact that you also looked at the angle of graduates. We're not saying that most of our police officers are not graduates. I mean, we do understand that a lot of them need to go back to school, whether you like it or not. And when we say school here, Gbenga, I'm going to advocate for not just school in terms of exactly just to get certificates, just to ensure that you know how to read and write and so on. Let's talk about schools that would enhance your thinking ability, your reasonableness. The criteria is for you to even hold a weapon. Ability to be balanced in terms,
courses on civilian and police interaction.
Thank you.
Empathy,
Yes.
finishing etiquette,
Emotional intelligence.
Look at the story we took yesterday on the River State crisis. Not that of Fubara and of course Wiki.
The young boy
about the young man who was killed, an extrajudicial killing, and they're asking for a closure on that story. The mother said she knows the police officers because she saw them. Have we heard any update on that?
Is that Rivers or is that Delta?
Was it? Oh, it was Delta. I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon. Delta State. And if you look at that, we've seen these cases happen one too many times, where it seems like, okay, this is the only way I can get you to speak, or charge you, deal with you, and so on. So even the police officers need to understand. They need to take courses on human rights. I give kudos to some of them. Some of them are well learned. They take their time. They pay their bills. They learn, because they understand the principles of knowledge and understanding how to act and when to act. But for some, it's comme ci, comme ça, like they say in French.
And it applies to the entire armed forces. That's why you have a situation where airmen can go into PHCM building, Eco Disco, and beat up people because you haven't been given electricity. It's sacrilegious. It shouldn't happen, and there should be penalties for that. But what happens, we moved on to the next story. Natasha flew into Kogi State in a helicopter. We forget about what happened in the past. Okay.
Yeah, sensational. Anyway,
this is what led to Chris Brown's song, Sensational.
On the lighter note, I think we need more
humor to laugh this morning.
The pressure is too much.
Because I'm not even lying to you as we're here. All I'm thinking about is what is waiting for me after the show when I go back. But let's move now to Edo State. After a rocky weekend where Governor Monday Okpebholo and he had his hands full managing a national crisis caused by the killings in Uromi, the Edo State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal has affirmed his position as governor of Edo State. The petition filed by the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and its candidate, Asue Ighodalo, has been dismissed. In a unanimous judgment on Wednesday, the tribunal led by Justice Wilfred Pochi ruled that the petitioners failed to provide sufficient evidence to prove allegations of overvoting and non-compliance with electoral laws in 320 polling units across the state.
Well, the court noted that the PDP did not call relevant witnesses, such as polling unit agents, to substantiate their claims. The tribunal further emphasized that overvoting could only be proven with 3 key documents: Voters Register number 1, BVAS number 2, and Form EC8A, which happens to be the form at the polling unit result, which the petitioners failed to properly present. Well, joining us to discuss this is former Commissioner for Communications and Orientation in Edo State, Andrew Mwanta, joins us. I do understand that you are currently in transit, but thanks for taking time out to speak to us, and good morning to you. Okay, let's see if we can connect with Andrew Mwanta. He's supposed to connect with us. But anyway, I will also do hear that the fall-off of you could say the announcement that came out yesterday, especially to the camp of Asue Ighodalo, has moved them to say that they would be going to another court of jurisdiction. This time they're heading to the appeal court.
Now, this is the first, in the court of first instance, so of course they do have rights to go to other courts and right to appeal.
Going to. But I must mention that the processes that led to this final. Anyway, let's join our guest. Andrew, thank you so much for being here this morning.
Yeah, thank you, Joe, and thank you, Olive, and
Benga.
Other colleague there.
Benga.
It's a pleasure to be on your program this morning.
Thank you.
So maybe we should start by officially congratulating
Andrew. I can see you're all smiles. I wonder why the smiles, Andrew. We're not smiling here, by the way, but we'll try and smile with you. Why are you smiling?
They say victory is sweet, and you find that yesterday's decision was unanimous. There was one phantom judgment they had shared online, claiming that that was the tribunal's judgment. I mean, that was the work of mischief makers. But I think it is now time for us to be focused with governance. We have a security challenge in Edo, and I think that's where the focus should be now. Section 14 of our constitution places the security and welfare of the people as a primary purpose of government, and that makes the governor know that this is not victory for him, it's victory for Edo people, whose mandates the court has affirmed, and it is for the governor now to be more focused I hear that the PDP candidates, and of course the party say they are appealing. It's their right to do. They have a right of appeal. But one thing is clear, the petition was without merit, as the tribunal noted, because you cannot be challenging results in many polling units. You call only 5 polling unit agents, and those polling unit agents that came, they didn't even give any credible evidence. You know, this is not a guesswork. For you to go before an election petition tribunal, you must be prepared. And the tribunal also noted that they dumped beavers machines on the tribunal. They dumped documents on the tribunal. So for us, we don't want to see it as, oh, we won and they lost. No, it's victory for us, Edo people, and victory for Nigerian democracy. Because it is clear that the person who won the election has been affirmed. And for those who think they want to appeal, fine. But what we ask them is that they should join the governor in tackling this problem of insecurity, because it requires a collective approach, right? And even more than that, both Asue Ighodalo and the current governor of Edo State, Senator Okpebholo, are from the same senatorial district, and we have an existential security threat there. So I think it is time for people to be patriotic. It is time for people to consider one thing: Edo people matter, our lives matter, and they should allow this governor to focus on governance. But in all, we thank God for the victory of yesterday, and it is a continuation of that mandate Edo people have given to Senator Okpebholo as Executive Governor of Edo State.
Now, Honorable Nwata, don't you think it's not yet uhuru, since this is just a court of first instance, and the PDP has said, look, they're going to appeal this judgment? Is it not too early to celebrate?
When you say too early, when we won this election September last year, we celebrated. And when the court now has affirmed the victory of Senator Okpebholo, what do you expect? We have to celebrate. It was a long walk to victory. It was one that was rooted in all manners of, the intrigues were much, because on the social media, PDP had concluded that they have won. And as God will have it, yesterday it became very clear that what they filed was a pack of cards. And just as the tribunal noted, issue 1 must fall like a pack of cards, because they claim that Section 73 of the Electoral, Sub 2 of the Electoral Act says that you must, put out all serial numbers of the ballot papers and the rest. And their own witness, from what the court said, actually testified that the right thing was done, that there was compliance with the Electoral Act. And they also raised this issue of overvoting. You don't dump beavers machine. They could not provide any, apart from, extracts or screenshots of the IREV, which I think, from Supreme Court authorities, is not sufficient to establish overvoting. But overall, it's a good decision. We must commend the judiciary. They remain the last hope of the common man. And for those who are appealing, we'll meet them upstairs. That's why you have appeal courts. We will definitely meet them upstairs when they appeal.
All right. There are worries and concerns as well. I mean, during the entire process, we did see at some point where the PDP was winning some of the, some of the motions from, it was 4-2 increased to about 6-4, and then all of a sudden, of course, the final declaration there. Let's also look at the impact this would have, especially on the opposition party. We do understand that Governor Okpebholo has extended the olive branch, as it were, in a statement asking the opposition party to join him and let them move Edo State forward. Do you see this ending anytime soon? And can you also share with us what the people of Edo State are saying? Are they in unison with what happened yesterday?
I think I'll start with your last question. There was great celebration across the state, because this one governor that is in a hurry to bring development to the people. The 3 main entry routes into Benin, the Benin-Asaba Road, the Benin-Aochi Road, the Benin-Saple Road, is receiving urgent attention by the state government. The previous governor will put billboards or signboards along this route saying that this is a federal road. But this is a state governor that has taken that problem head on. And the people are very satisfied with him as governor. And yesterday was celebration all through the entire state. And of course, you talked about some motions. Those are motions. I'm a lawyer that understands the implication of when you have motions in an election petition, it cannot take the place of the petition itself. Those were preliminary motions touching on the issue of the jurisdiction of the tribunal to hear the matter. The court said, yes, I will take them. And again, know that when you dump a document to the court, it goes to the issue of admissibility. You tender a document from the bar. But the issue of weights to be attached to those documents, it is where the court now comes in to say, okay, let's look at this document. How relevant is it? how can we now, in using this document, give a fair verdict? What documents are we talking about? The tendered result sheets from polling units across, I think, over 700 polling unit results. They didn't call the polling unit agents to come and testify. No single eyewitness was called. Even those that came to testify did not even testify as to the issue of non-compliance. And even more than that, what the court also noted was that you don't dump documents. You must call credible evidence. I give you an example. Each of those polling unit results had 9 pages, but they tendered only 7. So who will you now give the duty of explaining the 2 missing leaves
All right.
the result? And of course, that was in.
I need to interject at this point, Mr. Nwata, because we're running out of time. You had mentioned that the people in Edo State are pleased by the governor's performance and his delivery. I'd like you to make reference to their being pleased, especially seeing the reactions to the governor visiting Kano State to sort of commiserate with the lives that were unfortunately murdered in Uromi. So speak to the insecurity in Uromi and the people in Edo State who are crying out that they've been... Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
All right. I was saying that you should please speak to the insecurity, the mob killings in Uromi. We've seen those who, yes, have condemned it, but they've also, a number of them have condemned the governor's visit to Kano State, saying that, you know, he's basically not standing up for the Edo people. We've also seen those who have said that, you know, the governor hasn't listened to the cries of the Edo people who have been complaining before now about insecurity. One of them is the Onoji of Ozea Kingdom, who had said that they had been, you know, attacking their farms and attacking their women. So if you may please respond to that, because you had mentioned that they are pleased by the governor's performance so far.
Yeah, thank you. You find that what we are experiencing in Edo is an existential threat. You know what the Amoteco is doing, of course, in curbing some of these criminal activities in the southwest, particularly in Ondo. And you know, Ondo, we share boundary with them, the Ovia axis. There was an incident that happened not too long ago. The governor went there the day that incident happened in Ovia, and I think there was also a more recent one. So most of these vigilante people were inherited people from the Obaseki's government, and you know, in profiling them, it will take some time. And the governor's visit to Kano was part of peace building, and the fact that a commission of inquiry will be set up to investigate this issue. It is not just for us to look at the symptoms. These people came in, they saw arms on them, and there was a mob attack. Because I think the people who were responsible for that mob attack, they have faith in the police for them to have taken laws into their hands. But that does not explain why people would take human lives. I mean, jungle justice is not acceptable. And I assure you the Edo State government is on top of the situation. And time that particular committee or commission of inquiry comes up with their recommendations, of course, government will take definite steps in first recognizing our vigilante network and see how we can collaborate with the federal government agencies responsible for security, the DSS, the police, the civil defense, and what have you. But I think yesterday's judgment has further strengthened the hands of the governor as the chief security officer of the state, and I believe moving forward we'll see great changes in the security architecture of our state.
All right. I want to say thank you so much for speaking with us, Andrew Nwata, and thanks for sharing your thoughts on the latest happening there in Edo State, especially with the tribunal petition. Thank you. Well, let's cross over now and join our man, Bernard Akede, to give us an update concerning the chaotic, horrific, and I can say neck-breaking traffic in Lagos State. For those who are not in Lagos, don't worry, you have nothing to worry about. But for those who are in Lagos, the economic capital, yesterday was not a good day, especially for those commuting from the mainland to the island. For the mainlanders, let's put it that way in quotes, it was all fresh and nice.
Oh, you can see me.
Yeah.
Look at you looking fresh. Well, let's hope that today is better. I'm sure that Bernard can give us a better picture as to what we should expect today.
Bernard, are you there?
Good morning, Joe. It's good to see you, Joe. I didn't think you would be able to make it this morning.
We did it, Joe!
Mission impossible. These guys they're heroes.
A classic case of we did it, Joe.
Honestly.
All right, go ahead. Have they opened up the bridge as directed by Minister? Good way.
Come on. I mean, we need to confirm that story, right? I saw it on Instagram myself yesterday, early this morning, or was it last night, that the Minister for Works, David Umahi, has ordered the immediate reopening of the bridge this morning. But then I'd like you to see, there's no way they can reopen the bridge now. That's what we're talking about right there. It's been dug already, right, that particular spot has been opened up by excavators. You can see the excavator still standing right there. And for those who know this particular place, you'll know if you use this route very well. For some time, that particular spot seemed like it was caving in. It could have been a disaster waiting to happen at any point in time. So for the, would I call it rumors, or the story that had it that the minister, ordered the immediate reopening of the bridge, I don't know where that story came from, but it doesn't look like this bridge is going to be reopened anytime soon. It was stated earlier, as we read in the news, that the bridge will be closed for about 2 months, so that this particular portion of the bridge can be properly worked upon. I mentioned earlier that it was caving in at some point in time, but then, this is the job that needs to be done, and that's why, we saw the traffic that was there yesterday, that was in Lagos yesterday. To be fair on the government, right, there actually had been signposts redirecting traffic to different parts of Lagos, telling people to use alternative routes. It's possible that people didn't see those signs, or people didn't read them, or maybe they were not in enough places across the state, or maybe not legible enough, I don't know. But yes, those signs were actually there, and they still are there, as a matter of fact. Unfortunately, what we saw yesterday is exactly what happened.
Now, Bernard, so many things happened yesterday. Was it multiple failure? Number one, the bridge closure. Number two, you said quite a number of people didn't see the signs. They weren't aware of this closure. And number three, did the rains contribute to the traffic that we witnessed yesterday? And what's the current situation of things today? Is today any better?
Okay, I'll take them one after the other. Yes, I did mention that, it's possible that people didn't see those road signs or didn't read them. If you're coming into the mainland, you're coming from Lekki area, at Lekki phase 1, just at the bus stop there, just after the pedestrian bridge, before you get to traffic light, you'll see the signpost there saying Independence Bridge will be closed, take alternative routes. I think I've seen in some other places there. So it's a possibility that some people didn't see them or didn't read them, or maybe they were just not in enough places for people to take note of. That's one. Two, oftentimes I have queried the government's means of passing information across to the people. Look, social media is a thing right now. Influencers, if you like. There's so many ways to get information across to the people if you want to get information across. I think we know what to do when we want to do things right. And this is one thing I think should have been done properly. We know what happens when one road is closed in Lagos. We know the ripple effect. And example is what we saw yesterday. That's 2. 3, yes, definitely the rains in Lagos contributed largely to what we saw.
Unfortunately, the rains. The moral of the story is that as the show is ending, Joe, we are moving.
If you like, run. You will.
No, today, I don't wish you guys to go through what you went through yesterday. Yeah. Today will be a better day.
But anyway, let's bring a recap of what we talked about so far. So good. This first hour here on Breakfast Central as we move into what's coming up next as well. A quick recap of the story so far so good. Tribunal throws out opposition petition against Governor Okpebholo. You can see them dancing there. Andrew Nwanta spoke on that. Lagos says standstill as Independence Bridge repairs begin. Ben Alakede just told you that statement you saw is not true. Experts back NAS on decentralizing police system. That was a report by Edo Joseph. Let's bring to you what's coming up next, Benga.
Coming up next on Breakfast Central this morning, Kogi government accuses Natasha of lawlessness in homecoming rally. We'll be analyzing the state of the nation. And also, Edo election petitions will bring you the outcome. Please stay with us. Breakfast Central continues shortly.
50.
Good morning, sir.
This is Levy.
Sir Gary.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Can you hear us?
Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear us, sir?
There's a delay.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
We
can.
can hear
you
you.
hear us?
Yes, very clearly.
Okay, all right. All right.
Tell them to.
There's a delay.
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Welcome back. Suspended Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan's visit to her constituency on Tuesday has sparked fresh controversy as Governor Usman Ododo dismissed her claims on her assassination plan, and she alleged assassination plan that she talked about during the entire coming back home. Well, that's not just all. She also did mention a few names during the entire speech that she made while she came back home.
The Kogi State government condemned her allegations as false and inciting, accusing her of attempting to disrupt public order. Akpabio's spokesperson declined to speak on the accusations with newsmen, stating that the matter was sub judice. Meanwhile, the Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria, Huriwa, criticized the state government and police for what it described as politically motivated interference aimed at preventing Akpoti-Uduaghan from engaging with her constituents.
Now we're joined by the Honorable Kogi State Commissioner for Information and Communication, Honorable Kingsley Femi Fanwo. Good morning to you, Honorable Fanwo, and thanks for joining us on Breakfast Central.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
Now, Honorable Fanwo, despite security concerns and the government ban on rallies, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan proceeded with a homecoming event in Kogi State, drawing massive crowds. Why did the government attempt to restrict the event in the first place? And does her defiance of the order indicate a loss of state authority in Kogi Central?
Thank you very much. I think it's very important for the sake of viewers around the world to put the whole thing in the proper perspective. First, the ban was not just targeted at one person. It was a decision of the state government to ensure security, peace, and tranquility in the state. And all the 3 senatorial districts were affected. For instance, in Kogi West, where there were clashes resulting from, misunderstanding on fishing ponds, 2 lives had been lost already. The state government had deployed security to the place, and the ban has been placed on all fishing activities in Kogi local government area. Also in Kogi East, to be specific, in Njema district in Nampa local government area, 2 communities are having crisis as we speak, and lives had also been lost. As a result of that, government had also mobilized security to the place, curfew also imposed, and in Kogi Central, acting on intelligence that there would be some rallies political, religious, that might create crisis and lead to bloodshed. So the decision of government was basically informed by security reasons to guarantee the security of lives and property. As to obeying the ban, it has to do with individuals. There are individuals who are naturally lawbreakers, and it will be very difficult for them to obey simple rules that were put in place to ensure orderliness. So it is not for us to talk about that. We will leave that to the right authorities to talk about that.
When you're talking about rallies that could potentially lead to violence, political rallies, did the information that you get specifically speak to Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan's homecoming?
No, not targeted at, like I said, it's not targeted at a single person. We got intelligence that some groups were also planning to have a religious procession in Kogi Central. And you know, if you understand the history of that central district, you will know that there were rival religious groups there. They are of the same faith, but they have been rivals over the decades, and that had led to one crisis or the other. So it was not specifically targeted to her, but from what happened at the rally that she defiantly organized, you would see that if not for the maturity of the critical stakeholders of the state, those spurious, malicious, defamatory allegations of her could have led to a lot of crisis that day. So I give it to the security agencies. I want to say their intelligence were top-notch.
All right, let's also look at the fact that, many have said that it could be as a result of Senator Natasha coming back home that led to the sudden announcement of ban on rallies and an attempt to stop her. Can you confirm here, especially on national TV, that Senator Natasha is not an enemy of the state and she does have the support of the sitting governor, Governor Odudu?
It is nobody. We do not see our citizens as enemies of the state. It is our responsibility to protect our citizens. Those who violate the law, the outlaws, the terrorists, the criminals, the armed robbers of this world are the enemies of the state.
This category you have listed, does
if
Senator
you break
Natasha,
the law,
this category you've listed, does Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan fall into this category you've listed?
She has broken the rule that was put in place to ensure peace and security in the state. So if you have broken rules that should ensure peace and security in the state, then it means that you have declared war against the state.
And as
like
a result,
I said, if not for the maturity and the statesmanship of the critical stakeholders that she maliciously alleged to be plotting to kill her, that could have led to a lot of clashes, a lot of skirmishes, and a lot of bloodshed.
We'll come to the allegations that were made, but I'd like to also confirm if any violent clashes erupted as a result of the homecoming gathering by Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, hosted in her premises and with her supporters.
I do not have reports as to that, and I will not want to preempt the reports of the various security agencies. To be specific, I was aware that the State Police Command also shared the intelligence with her and also advised her to still keep off for now for the sake of peace and tranquility in the state. But she defied all that. So I was not there, and I've not seen the report of the security agencies. So I wouldn't have been able to say correctly whether there was a breach or not.
Okay. Now, Honorable Kingsley Fanwo, quite a number of people think, the security excuse was just a convenient boogeyman for the Kogi State government to stifle her from visiting home during the Sallah celebrations. But moving away from that, a recall petition against Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan has been submitted to INEC with allegations that former Kogi State Governor Yaya Bello and the current Governor Ododo, are behind this move. Can you confirm the official position of Kogi State government on this recall exercise? Are they behind it? Because the woman that submitted this petition, the group, is a current appointee of the Kogi State government.
That you are an appointee of the state government does not remove you from being an electorate in a particular senatorial district. For instance, I am from Kogi West. So if there is anything that has to do with the electorate in Kogi West and I participate, it doesn't mean that the state government is the one sponsoring me to participate. I voted. I did not vote for the state government. I voted because I am a citizen of Kogi West and I had the right to vote in Kogi West. So those that participated in the recall, whether they are in government or not, does not matter. They are electorates in that senatorial district and also holds the right to decide what they do with their votes.
But I think a question that he had asked that you hadn't answered is the government, the Kogi State government, in support of the recall, or is it against the recall of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan?
A government does not sponsor recall, and the government has no votes in any recall exercise. A government is to oversee the entire state. It is not the government of West or East or Central, but the government of Kogi State. So I would say that government constitutionally has no right to participate in it, and government did not, have not, and will not participate in it.
All right, Honorable Fowl, let's look at the senator herself. Would you say that she has not in any way contributed to the success of Governor Ododo's administration? Because, like she said and prides in herself that she's the most hard-working senator so far, so good. And also looking through the things that she's done for the people of Kogi State, would you rather admit that the governor should also throw his weight behind her and ensure that she does more, which in turn benefits the people of Kogi State? Or would you say, well, she doesn't in any way impact in what the governor does? Where do you stand in this?
The governor of the state is someone who supports initiatives that have to do with development, that has to do with peace. For instance, about a month ago, the governor was at Egbe in Yagba West local government area to personally inspect his ongoing projects and to also inspect the already completed forward operation base of the Nigerian Army that was put in place by distinguished Senator Sunday Karimi to ensure security in Kogi West. So the governor is someone who is committed to development, and he will always support those who bring development initiatives to the state. Don't forget that on January 27th, to mark his first year anniversary, he brought eminent Kogites together. Your party doesn't matter, whether you are in APC or PDP or ADC or SDP. He brought everybody together to charge them to cooperate and support his administration to continue the development strides in the state. So if someone is saying she's the best senator, and at the same time, you could see, Nigerians could see how she broke the law, how she's defaming people, how he's slandering people, how he's maliciously attacking people publicly without incontrovertible fact, forgetting that he who alleges must prove. Then, if that kind of a person that is a security threat is saying she has brought development, there is a nexus between security and development. You can't have development where there is no security. So if the government is trying to ensure security in the state and someone is trying to subvert it, then we leave that judgment to the public.
All right, just to go back to the question that my colleague asked as well, are you saying that she did not contribute to the improvement of the quality of the administration, the current administration? Yes, you're saying that she's broken the law, which can be argued for or against. But prior to this homecoming, what has her score sheet been? What would you say has been the performance of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan in Kogi State in terms of improving the welfare of the lives and citizens in Kogi State?
Well, I am not aware of what she has done. Like I told you, I am not from her senatorial district. And I think those that are from her senatorial district will be able to tell you what she has done, whether she has built hospitals and schools and all of that. They will be able to tell you all of that. But, you know, speaking for the government of Kogi State, I would say what she has brought to the state is more of very negative news, malicious defamation, and threats to security.
Well, it doesn't seem like Kogi citizens will quite agree with that. We've been able to speak with a number of them who have spoken to the development that she's brought to the state. If you look at some of the contributions, the news reports that, PM News, for example, reports that she oversaw the reconstruction and remodeling of 9 classroom blocks and 4 boarding houses at a college. She distributed 5,000 digital learning devices to support modern education. She facilitated the reconstruction of the Ihima police station, aiming to improve security within the community. I don't know if you can maybe speak to some of these, or you can categorically tell us that this is, this is incorrect. The citizens, we've been able to speak with a number of them and interview them, and the reactions we've gotten, the feedback that we've gotten has been different. And also, even looking at the teeming crowd that came out to support her, it does seem like she might have the support of Kogi people.
I will only report what I know of. That's for sure. And I would not dwell on the things that I do not know about. It is left for her to tell the world what she has done. It is left for us to tell the world about our perception of her. So these are a different thing. I am not her image maker. I am not her information officer. When you talk about people coming to receive political office holders, you would see when the former governor, His Excellency Alhaji Yahaya Bello, or the current governor, His Excellency Alhaji Ahmed Usman Ododo, when they visit Okene, then you will know who is more acceptable and which party is more acceptable. Now, we are not here to talk about all of those politics, but I know that the people of Kogi State, they know their true leaders and they know those who come to endanger them.
Now, Honorable Fanwo, just before we let you go, I just want to confirm from you that despite the current hostilities between the Kogi State government and Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, is there any possibility of reconciliation in the future so that, both parties can come together and give development to the people of Kogi Central, work hand in hand? Because I'm sure the state government has a good relationship with the senators representing Kogi East and West. Why treat Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan like an outcast?
Yes, there is a reason why the Reverend Desmond Tutu called it truth and reconciliation. Before we talk about reconciliation, we must first establish the truth. There were allegations against the former governor and the current governor. I can confirm to you that the governor of Kogi State, the chief servant of Kogi State, His Excellency Alhaji Ahmed Usman Ododo, will be suing her, to come and prove the allegations against him. I can also confirm to you that the former governor, His Excellency Alhaji Ahmed Usman Ododo, will be going to court to challenge her over those things. She must come and prove those allegations. She was given even dates. This one, they called somebody on March so. So I think we believe that she should have facts. Those facts would have to be presented in court. She's going to have dates, not just one date in court, to prove all of these allegations. Then when we get to the root of it and we have the truth, that is when the conversation on reconciliation can start. You cannot defame people. You cannot maliciously attack people, assassinate their character, and then start talking of reconciliation. It doesn't work that way. Reconciliation will come after the truth has been established.
Well, we would say that that's well said. Of course, you cannot continue to speak disparagingly about people's image without having to face a day in court. And you've said it here that she would be invited pretty soon and she'll be served. I want to say thank you so much for taking time out to speak with us. We do understand that it's been a busy 24 hours for you. The Kogi State Commissioner for Information and Communication talking about Honorable Kingsley Femi Fanwo. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Honorable.
All right. Okay, so yesterday we did mention, just like we spoke about it earlier on, concerning the update on Edo State. Of course, the celebration in the camp of Senator Monday Okpebholo, who happens to be the governor of Edo State. Our man who covered the entire event and was there right from yesterday, gave us a bit-by-bit update, is also here to join us again this morning. Joshua Marayi, good morning. All right, Joshua. What was it like yesterday? And can you share with us how everyone reacted to the final decision of the judges?
Well, the tribunal yesterday was in a frenzy mood from the moment the justice, Winifred Pochi, started reading his ruling. The APC could sense that it was in their favor. It was in the frenzy mode. Outside was filled with celebration. I can tell you for sure that a good amount of Edo people left Edo State yesterday to witness these proceedings of the tribunal. The hall was small, we know that. But that did not stop them from coming. They were littered outside in numbers. You could see cars parked, and the whole place was in a total state of celebration from the camp of the APC. So, concerning the PDP, they seem disgruntled by the rulings of the tribunal. They are not satisfied, and they are pursuing legal action down to the Court of Appeal to set aside this judgment by the tribunal.
Now, Joshua, you said quite a number that the mood was celebratory, and of course, if you lose, you won't celebrate. Something interesting, one of those that attended at the tribunal sittings yesterday caught the eye of many people on social media. I'm talking about Tubaba with his own Natasha, Honorable Natasha of the State House of Assembly. Did you get to speak to him, and whose camp were they represented?
Unfortunately, we didn't get to speak to Tubaba and Natasha. They just came. It was more or less a cameo appearance. They came into the tribunal hall, said hello to so many people who were there, and they left. They left immediately, couldn't get access to speak to them. Even Tubaba could not grant statements to the press, so we couldn't get to him. But I can, for Natasha, it is, however, unclear which side she is. We understand that she came just to pay solidarity with her party members, but it's, however, unclear which party she belongs to. It's, however, unclear which faction she belongs to, and those she's paying allegiance to.
All right. Thank you so much. Anyway, Joshua Marayi, thanks for covering the Edo State Governorship Tribunal petition, which, of course, happened yesterday. And we do know that the other party has decided to take it to the appeal court. Thanks for your time. We'll go on a quick break. Now, when we come back, we'll be taking a look at a very interesting conversation that affects you as a Nigerian. Do stay with us.
Now we begin the news with the story of untold traffic congestion at Lagos, Nigeria's commercial hub. The city has been plagued by severe traffic congestion throughout the day, attributed to the closure of the Independence Bridge for repairs. The Lagos State government had announced the temporary shutdown of the bridge from March 19th to May 26, 2025. However, the impact was profoundly felt on Wednesday as motorists scrambled for alternative routes. The diversion of traffic to the Falamo Bridge and the Lekki-Ikoyi link bridge resulted in a ripple effect, causing congestion to spill over onto the third mainland bridge. Several major streets were severely affected, including Akin-Adeshola and Uzumba-Mbadiwe streets in Victoria Island, Alfred Rewane Road, Aolo Road, Alexander Avenue, Gerard Road, and Bodilon Roads in Ikoyi, Admiralty Way, Freedom Way, and the Lekki-Epe Expressway in Lekki. However, on Thursday morning, rumors of an order to reopen the bridge allegedly issued by the federal government emerged, leaving many of the road users confused as to which of the orders to follow. Let's also tell you that the People's Democratic Party candidate for the 2024 Edo State Governorship election, Asue Ighodalo, says he is heading to the Court of Appeal to challenge the Edo State Tribunal verdict affirming Monday Okpebholo as governor. A three-member panel led by Justice Wilfred Pochi dismissed Ighodalo's petition due to a lack of merit and the failure to present competent witnesses to substantiate the claims of non-compliance with the Electoral Act. Ighodalo called on supporters and other party faithful to keep the peace and seek the rule of law in their fight for justice. Ighodalo said he had instructed his legal team to proceed to the Court of Appeal to challenge a tribunal decision, which he considers a huge travesty of justice. The chairman of the All Progressive Congress in Rivers State, Chief Tony Okocha, has called for the probe of suspended Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his loyalists over the demolition of the State House of Assembly complex and alleged misappropriation of funds. Okocha based his call on the statement by the former head of service in the state, George Unweke, who alleged that at the weekend that Fubara sponsored the bombing of the Assembly complex to avert his impeachment by lawmakers. But Fubara's Special Advisor on Electronic Media, Jerry Omosegunwa, dismissed the probe call. Omosegunwa described the head of service allegations as childish, incoherent, and ill-prepared. Both Fubara and Hehie vehemently denied the allegations, insisting that Unwake was under the influence and not in his right frame of mind when he made those allegations. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has left Nigeria for the French capital, Paris, on what he described as a short working visit. A statement signed by presidential spokesman Bayo Onanuga noted that the president plans to use his time in France to appraise his administration's midterm performance ahead of a second anniversary, although he didn't say when he'll return. Wednesday's trip comes as the latest of many such trips the president has made to France since he came into office. Let's also tell you that to ensure that the Abia State Airport project recently embarked upon in partnership with the federal government has realized in record time, Governor Alex Otti has appointed a new advisor for the project. The governor wants the special advisor on the project to use his wealth of knowledge in the aviation sector to ensure that quality is not compromised in the airport project and other projects. He also enjoined the Executive Secretary Diaspora Commission to bring all sons and daughters of the state abroad and maintain a strong communication with them. The police in Delta State have arrested 4 suspected kidnappers and recovered 3 AK-47 rifles during separate operations in Rivers and Kogi states. The suspects were trailed to their hideouts in the 2 states following investigations into their activities in parts of Delta State. State Police Public Relations Officer Bright Edafe said a special assignment team led by an assistant superintendent led the operations, resulting in the arrest of the suspects. He added that Investigations revealed the kidnappers usually kidnapped at Ughelli and other parts of Delta State and hibernated in rivers. In the meantime, the FCT Police Command has called for improved partnership with members of the public, saying that the objective of effective law enforcement is to ensure the safety and security of lives and property. This was as the police marked the 2025 National Police Day celebrations in Abuja via a cleanup exercise within the Garki area of the federal capital. The FCT Police Commissioner Ajawa Adewale says that the initiative, which has also been observed in several police commands across the capital, aims to foster improved community relations while promoting environmental sanitation. And that's all on Breakfast Headlines. We've gone a quick break, and when we return, Breakfast Central continues. I am Benga Aboroa.
Good morning. Good morning, Chinwe.
Chizoba
Oh, Chizoba. Oh, sorry.
Morning, Chizoba.
Hi, Chizoba. Chizoba, Nigeria is not showing in your skin.
Just checking your...
It's only your background that shows that you are in Nigeria. Your skin is not showing. See, I can see my reflection from your skin.
Are you sure she's in Nigeria? Does she live in Nigeria?
This background looks like Dubai.
No, let's not lie. The background is giving like Ivory Cotonou or Ivory Coast, but Chizoba's skin is giving abroad.
Hey, the sun is just too much. That's why you're not feeling very well.
This one is not good morning. No. For the sun to be out like this, it's good afternoon. Great minds think alike.
So we have Mr. Who that used to on his way, almost here.
Okay, so we'll wrap this up quickly.
We have,
let's wrap this up now. Like when I wrap, let's do this set now.
Okay.
Papers and then she's over.
What do you need to tell me?
And just two
I'm
questions.
okay.
Amy has been calling with regards to the last interview.
That what? I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
Even Tony was there.
I didn't like it. That was not an interview. I'm sorry.
I guess he had some agreements that.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. We'll just go straight to the papers this morning, and we'll be talking about what you can find on the front pages. We do have the head strategy and public affairs nairametrics, Wade Himie, joining us this morning. Good to see you, by the way, and looking all well rested, like traffic did not affect you. You know, I mean, after all, it did not affect you.
It did not.
I'm just asking. I mean,
you don't look like it.
Spent 2.5 hours from
just 2.5 hours.
Wait, let's hear first.
This is where Nigeria comes in.
No, let's hear him.
Okay, sorry.
You're suffering.
I'm
sorry, I'm patient.
Patience.
Yeah, sorry.
And we always
from Lekki Phase 1 to Civic Center, 2.5 hours. From Civic Center to my house, 2.5 hours.
Okay,
all in all, 5 hours in traffic.
That's a lot.
You know, there's this
like
quote I saw. They said Nigeria is the only country where people argue, compare who suffers the most.
Yes.
Well,
my suffering is greater than yours.
I say we did from.
In my own opinion, I do think that what happened yesterday could have been avoided just by simply putting in place proper processes that help when you're doing major reconstructions, like I have seen in other places. But in Nigeria and Lagos, Lagos where I live, and I'm familiar with that, I know that those who fix roads do their work 9 to 5 also, like those who go to work, and then so that they can show us, I believe, that our taxes are working. So I just leave it at that.
Okay, let's leave it at that. Let's go straight to Jos very quickly. We do have our correspondent who's on ground. She wants to give us an update concerning the Edo Fitri and how residents are indeed taking it, especially now that it's over and everyone seems to be back to work. In Lagos, we do know it's traffic, but in Jos, we do not know what it is. If you can hear us, good morning to you, Chizoba Anyowe.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell us. We can see behind you. It's like back to business as usual.
Sure, just like you've seen behind me, it's back to business. You know, everybody is up and doing now. The Sallah holiday has come and gone, and it's back to business. So nobody's sleeping, actually, of course. Everyone knows how Nigeria has been in recent times. So any little opportunity to have to make one of the transactions, as long as it is peaceful, it is legal and, of course, acceptable by everyone, law-abiding citizens. It's good to go. So, just like you're saying behind me, everybody is back to business. And I have some respondents here. Actually, I had quite a number of them earlier, but they couldn't wait. They had to run to catch up with one or two things. Some going to work, some needed to attend to their customers, you know. So they have to, but I still have one or two around. So please, thank you for joining us here.
Thank you.
So what's your name? Okay, so Musa Abdullahi Shaibu is here to tell us how the Sallah celebration went for him and how it is now at the state.
Yeah, the Sallah celebration is it's a good activity. I'm very happy the people make it peaceful. No, nothing. The people go visiting and come back peacefully. I'm very happy. The Muslim people and the Christian people, especially inside the town, they join to talk together, to celebrating together, especially the Orobo people are very happy to making the happy. So I advise the people, especially pastors and the imam, continue the prayer and the talking of the people about the issue of the peace, so that we join the hand to make the country better. I'm very happy. Especially tomorrow, the people started their business and the office activities normal. Activities become normal now, no any disturbance. So I'm very happy to see people to make like this and continue the prayer so that the country become better. People make peace. I'm very happy. I'm very happy. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. So what we did here says he's very happy, and it means business continues as usual. Anyway, we'll get back to you very soon to get more information and reports from you right there. We can see what's going on in Jos. But let's go straight to our very first paper this morning, the Vanguard. That's what we're going to. Hopefully we can reconnect with Chizoba again. Edo Okpebholo wins a tribunal. Ighodalo heads to appeal court. What's your take on that? Let me start off first with that story.
I wasn't expecting anything different. We've seen all the cases that have gone to the tribunals, both whether it's the governorship or the assembly or even the presidential election, and all of them have come out as victory for those who won the elections, as declared by INEC. So I guess it will go to the appeal court, and let's see how it goes. But some people are saying, oh, we should forget about that. No, but it should go through that process so that we all know if the judgment of the tribunal is right or wrong.
All right. Let's also still look on the front page about on the Vanguard, and you've talked about Edo Okpebholo, but now let's look at another Edo story. Residents allege indiscriminate arrest and extortion. Earlier, we had Andrew Nwata to talk about the tribunal judgment, and then talk about the feelings of Edo people about the government. Whilst we have condemned the Uromi killings, it has now sparked the conversation about insecurity in Edo State and the killings and the alleged extortions that the people in Edo State have had to deal with. And I'd like you to speak on that.
So, I don't know if the level of insecurity across the country has actually really gone down. Maybe because it's no longer on the front pages of the news, because we're trying to rebuild the economy. In trying to rebuild the economy and the economy becomes stable, then there should be less insecurity as more and more people try to get employment or some form of work so that they can earn a living. But it's unfortunate what happened in Uromi. We've seen it across Nigeria over time, and really nothing has actually come out of it. Security agents over the years have, after some time, we just don't hear anything about anything anymore. I don't think this will go any different. The president has spoken, and they should investigate and come back. But the other thing about investigations, the investigations can be ongoing, arrests can be made. Once the issue has gone out of the major headlines, but the fact is, as security agents investigate, and if possible, and where it is that prosecutions have been, people have been arrested and charged, then we should know what's going on at the end of the day. But let's see how it goes. I don't think it will change from what has generally become the norm now. Headline news, and we're waiting for the next headline news tomorrow.
Now, still looking at the Vanguard newspapers, on the front page, more heads to roll in NNPCL subsidiaries as Ojulari assumes duty. So we've seen this change in personnel, Melekele out, Ojulari in. Beyond this change in personnel, do you expect better service delivery from NNPCL, and in what area, NNPCL, I beg your pardon, and in what areas would you like them to focus on, so Nigerians could really see the benefits?
So the first thing for me is the change was imminent, because the former GMD had attained the 60 years for him to retire from the NNPC, so it was imminent. Now, my expectations will be that the new MD would first sit down and try and understand better and bring in processes. He's coming from an organization that processes run the organization and make it what it is today across the world, and bring in those kind of thinking and ideas that would drive it. Usually the expectation is when a new GMD comes in, some of the EDs are going to go if they've not already gone, because usually I'm not sure, I didn't read the details of that announcement. It's just the MD and what's it called?
Chairman of the board.
Well, what I've seen with the board is there is good diversity in terms of, because we've picked from one geopolitical zone, but even the experience of those who are on the board tells me that this should move in the right direction. The next thing I think is going to happen is he's now going to have to prepare the NNPC to go public. So what are the expectations? You need to, one, audit your book, start to get your financial advisors who are going to help you plan that journey to the market, to the capital market, and so on. And some of the questions, like the headline said, some heads will roll in some of the other, I don't know what you call that, subsidiaries or partners, but the question is, what is the NNPC holdings in all of its other subsidiaries that they work with, and how do they structure that in terms of when they go to the IPO? And these are things that the new GMD has to prepare his mind by building those processes towards that and preparing them for a company that is registered on the stock exchange, meaning that governance must be at the top of it, followed by ethical values. Some have said, oh, maybe he will rejig the refinery. In my own thinking and my own opinion, I don't think that's where an NPC should go. I think those refineries should be sold off. Are you with me? And let investors who want to buy them, and then take that from the next. Take the next steps in terms of rebuilding them to the kind of infrastructure, modern infrastructure refineries that we have today, so that it takes that away from you, and then they can then focus on getting the needed investment in building the upstream infrastructure sector, or the upstream part of the business, which really is what brings in those foreign exchange, and then working with. Like I said, if you do have stakes in the refineries and you get people who are running them better and making you more money, then dividends start to come to you, like you have with the LNG and things like that. But in terms of them going public, I don't think the government will sell more than, if they are going to sell up to that, more than 60% of the shares and retain what's called. But they would, I think they would try in terms of that, towards ensuring that they have the NNPC ready to work on the upstream side to move that production from where you are currently of between 1.3, 1.5 to the target of 2 million, maybe more than that. I know Nigeria, if you do just rejig the infrastructure that you have today, could do as much as 2.4 million barrels a day. And then we need to be able to move to the likes of those we are looked at in the same, what's it called, the Irans, the Kuwaits, where they are doing 5-6 million barrels a day.
In a day. All right. Let's take a look at the New Telegraph now very quickly. That's another paper we're going to look at. I want us to look at this. Fresh $500 million World Bank loan will escalate Nigeria's debt vulnerability. We've talked about Nigeria's debt profile, how it went from 74, so now we're about 147, and so on, and still counting. What's your take on this fresh loan? Even though Shetima advocates peaceful coexistence in terms of national unity, even though when many are still talking about what will happen to the World Bank loan. We also have a picture here, but let's focus on the World Bank loan. Let's focus on that. $500 million.
Well, from what I hear, the total package of the loan is about 5.5 billion in totality, which I don't know how long it's going to be taken, over what period. However, the other thing again is our oil production is going to be encumbered for this 5.5 billion from sources that I have, which are very reliable in terms of how much loan. So this is probably the first tranche of it. Before the end of the year, we expect to, because that's how we need to finance our budget. There are things we need to finance in the budget, and the budget deficit is about 13 trillion. So where are we going to get that money from? We can't raise it from taxes. We can't raise it from internally generated revenue. We're not hitting the 2 million barrels as projected. And it's with the 2 million barrels as projected that we're going to have a 13 trillion naira deficit in the budget. But we're not even hitting it. And this is the second quarter. We've done an average of 1.4 million barrels over the first quarter. So we have a shortage of 600 million barrels. So yeah, they need to take the loan to even have money to spend to even build. But it's the utilization, and that's what everybody is always talking about. All the loans that have been taken, we've doubled our loan portfolio, but have we really seen it in the economy? Some people will tell you that the economy is picking up, inflation has dropped. Well, that's a story for another day based on the rebasing. Some economists have told us that rebasing has, but in all, I expect more loans to be collected because I hear, are you with me? I'm from very reliable people too, that the total loan is 5.5 billion, and part of the things that you are going to use to secure it is additional crude that is going to be taken for those who are giving us this money.
All right. I mean, so many things, like you've mentioned, it's beyond the numbers. You know, Nigerians have a different experience and a different lived reality. But thank you so much, Wadi Ahimia, for joining us this morning to read the papers.
Thank you for having me, as always.
All right, we're going to break. When we come back, we have more conversations. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. Concerns are mounting over the federal government's plan to ban the importation of solar panels, as industry analysts warn that such a move could exacerbate Nigeria's ongoing energy crisis. The proposed ban, announced by the Minister of Science and Technology, Uche Naji, aims to boost local production and align with Presidential Executive Order No. 5, which promotes local content in science, engineering and technology. However, experts argue that Nigeria lacks the domestic capacity to meet the rising demand for solar solutions, making import restrictions a potential setback for the country's clean energy transition.
Well, stakeholders are urging the government to focus on supporting local manufacturers through tax incentives, tariff reductions on raw materials, and long-term financing options at single-digit interest rates. Additionally, calls have been made to cut import duties on essential renewable energy components such as batteries, inverters and wind turbines to encourage widespread adoption of alternative power sources. Well, joining us to discuss this development and the state of the power sector is founder of the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprises and former Director General of Lagos Chamber of Commerce, Dr. Muda Yusuf, who's here live with us in the studios. Thank you so much for being here, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
You've raised your voice so loud against this move that's been indeed, presented to the federal government, that it's high time that we stop any form of importation or anything that's got to do with solar panels or power and then bring it back home. Why is this a not too good move should the federal government decide to embark on it?
Well, as all of us know, we are dealing with a major energy crisis. The cost of the normal electricity provided is extremely very prohibitive. And that is if you have them. Because if you are band D or band E or band B or whatever band you are, except for band A, that we are told are privileged few, many other people don't have sufficient access to energy. That is one. The other alternative that people often also resort to is the use of generator. Now, look at the cost of fuel these days. It's prohibitive. So the only window for many individuals, households, SMEs, even the rural communities, is the solar solution. And it's gaining traction. Interestingly, it's gaining a lot of traction. So at this point, I think what we need is to encourage more people to be able to adopt the solar solution. Now, if you are talking of banning, well, the spirit of local production is fine. But there's something about sequencing of policy and about capacity. Otherwise, you are going to worsen the crisis that you are dealing with. So that is the concern. So the point made by the Minister of Energy, Science and Tech, well, it is good, but we need to caution against the pace and the speed at which they go about that kind of thing. And additionally, issues of banning or no banning is a trade policy matter. It's not a science and tech issue. You have the coordinating Minister of the Economy, you have the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, you have the Minister of Budget and National Planning. These are the people in whose remit decision as to whether you want to ban anything, you want to increase tariff, this is where it belongs. So we should avoid things that could send terrible signals to investors and to the citizens.
Now, Dr. Yusuf, you talked about sequencing of policies, that is not putting the cart before the horse.
Yes.
Let's look at the state of play of the technology and the solar industry in Nigeria. How are we doing? Do we have the manufacturing capacity, or do we have enough numbers to take care of domestic needs if the ban is put in place today?
We don't have. I think we have just one or two companies that are still struggling, to do the manufacturing. Another major issue with that manufacturing is that most of their inputs are still currently being imported.
So it's not ripe. The cottage industry, when it comes to solar panels, is not ripe enough to elicit for ban to protect them.
Certainly we don't have capacity. This is a very big country, and you'll be shocked at how many people are now embracing this solar technology or solar solution for power. It's increasing traction.
Right.
Even though it's very expensive, even as at now, because if you want to install a solar solution that can power maybe 1 or 2 fridges, fan, and all of that, you'll be talking of close to ₦1 million. So the focus, when we are talking about energy access, is to see how to improve the access, how to make it cheaper. That is why we are talking about in that release about even the cost of inverters, the cost of batteries. We are not saying you should subsidize, but you can waive the duties, you can waive the taxes, you can provide concessionary finance so that the citizens can have some breathing space. That is what this is all about.
Right.
The welfare impact is a lot, and the revenue loss is not so significant.
Okay, I mean, it's very important that you've mentioned this, because if you are banning it, you need to ensure that we have enough to be able to meet the demand of Nigerians. And quite frankly, a number of people, even me, I've had to install solar panels for my family. So a number of people are moving towards using solar panels. So let's talk about what the way forward is in terms of keeping up with modern best practices. Nigeria has been pushing for the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and one of that is energy. Energy falls under that category. How well, if the government, we understand, in the spirit of what the government is trying to achieve, which is local production, how well can we position ourselves to be able to have the best of both worlds? So have more production here, have more people, use renewable energy or lean towards renewable energy without an outright ban. Is there a way we can work around it to be able to ensure that everybody is duly satisfied, the citizens and the government as well? Is there a middle ground of some sort?
Well, there's a kind of middle ground, because these things are not mutually exclusive. If you want manufacturing, what we need to do is to create incentives for manufacturers, rather than strangulate the citizens by way of banning the importation. Because if you ban, prices are going to escalate.
That's if they haven't started escalating now, because even the concern is that once the rumors of a potential ban start going out, all the prices will go up.
Exactly. You know, and a whole lot of people are increasingly becoming dependent on this. So what we are saying is that, yes, we want to build manufacturing capacity. Engage the manufacturers. What and what do you need for you to scale this thing? If the scale is increasing, in fact, they can even find themselves in a position where they can even compete with what is being imported. Today, our cable industry, cable manufacturers are competing favorably well with imported cables.
Yeah.
In fact, for those who are in the building industry, they will recommend that you buy local cables. That is the way to go. You don't create a crisis for the citizens because you want to promote manufacturing. So they are not mutually exclusive.
Right.
What you do is to encourage those who are in manufacturing, give them good financing, check their input costs. How can you reduce it? You know, VAT, company tax, all those fiscal incentives. You give it to them so that they are able to also scale their production. You know, that is what, you know, you have to balance the interest. It is good to manufacture, but you also have to worry about the welfare of the citizens.
What's the worst case scenario? The hope is that we're having this conversation and bringing to light what the implications of this might be, and you know how we can find some form of a middle ground without an outright ban, because we do have a power challenge, and with the state of the economy, we don't want to further burden Nigerian citizens. But the worst case scenario, what would be the worst case scenario if this ban is actually carried out?
Well, it's going to be a very serious crisis because we don't have the capacity at all to meet the crisis. Then you are likely to see a lot of smuggling of these solar panels. You know, we have very porous borders. Smuggling of the solar panels. Of course, those who are producing it, because of the gap, the capacity gap, they become very exploitative, typically. Because when the demand is so heavy and the supply is so limited, people take advantage of it. And the responsibility of government is to take care of the welfare of the citizens, first and foremost. So for me, I don't even see us getting to the point because you can't justify it at this point.
There also worries that if the federal government decides to go ahead and give these incentives, especially to the MSMEs who want to be involved, the young entrepreneurs who want to go into the business, it would inadvertently affect Nigeria's power sector. In other words, Nigeria's power sector would go to sleep because there will be a dependent on the solar panels now.
No, not necessarily. You see, renewable energy is for essentially MSMEs, small businesses. It's for households. It's for corporate organizations, for lighting. When it comes to heavy energy usage, you need the on-grid power. It can be gas-powered or hydro-powered. So these two needs to exist side by side. Because you can't use renewable for manufacturing.
Heavy industries.
Heavy industries.
But what do you say about the 1.2 gigawatts solar plants that the government wants to put in place now?
Well, it is good. You know, government is even trying to install solar solutions even for institutions. For health, I mean, you know,
hospitals,
the crisis we have. Yes, hospitals. You know, and this Wigay University, you see the amount of solar solution that was deployed. You know, that is what the government is doing now. So for those things, it is better. So if you take all those load out of the grid,
all right,
it reduces the pressure on the grid, then you can have more power to support industries and all of that. So those things have to exist side by side.
We'll come back to the conversation to sort of wrap it up, but we need to go on a very quick break, and when we come back, we'll be winding down on the show. Stay with us.
welcome back to Breakfast Central. We still have Dr. Muda Yusuf with us in the studio. We're discussing the federal government's plan to ban the importation of solar panels to Nigeria and its implication. Now, Dr. Yusuf, you noted that the minister's announcements has raised concerns among investors and multilateral organizations. What feedback have you received from industry players since this announcement?
Well, typically, this increases their concern. It elevates, the level of risk of investment. Because, investors have seen a huge market for renewables in Nigeria because of the major energy crisis and the deficit that we have. So a lot of funding, both domestically and internationally, have been going into that area. And that's also in line with all this climate change and all of that, energy transition and all of. So there's a lot of investment and funds moving in that direction. So if you now suddenly have this kind of announcement, even though it has not become policy, there's a way it creates some jitters. You become nervous.
Uneasiness.
Yes, that we are investing this, a lot of things are in the pipeline, and the government is talking about this. This can create a lot of panic, uncertainty, which can, create problem for those investors. So this is the kind of feelings that this kind of things generate. And the earlier the government clarifies the position, the better.
So if you could speak to the Minister of Science and Technology, what would your message
be? They should reverse that kind of announcement and say that they are committed to supporting domestic producers of solar panels and roll out incentives for them.
So, and what that would do beyond even encouraging investors, what that would do also would be to help create some sort of balance in renewable energy space in terms of the cost of solar panels, cost of inverters. Because if you notice, what we're currently buying, the amount we're currently paying for inverters and for solar panels, yes, it increased because of inflation, but it phenomenally increased because of the fuel scarcity. So it just feels like when there's an opportunity and they realize that, this is an opportunity for exploitation, people need us. The demand increases, the price increases. So hopefully what that announcement might do would be to help grant some form of stability.
Yeah.
Mr. Muda Yusuf, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.
For your time.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank
All
you.
right, this is how we wrap up today's show. Just to quickly announce that we're bringing you updates from Independence Bridge. We do have report that Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu will be visiting the bridge this morning and might be addressing the press, hopefully, sometime at 10 a.m. So stick around because we'll be bringing you live updates on his visits to the bridge. But for the rest of you, for bosses, employers of labor, please, if you can, ensure that you adjust your employment structure to factor in working from home if your staff do not necessarily need to be in the office. So we can decongest the roads. People don't need to drive as much. People can hitch, rides, can do joint rides, so we don't have as much cars on the road as we currently have. But that's all that we have today on the show. Thank you for your time with us. And sorry to those who are still battling with the after effects of traffic. I'm Olive, MOD, and I'll see you tomorrow.
And I'm Benga Borough. I'll see you tomorrow. And Joe Hansen and Olive, you need to move now.
I'm happy the governor head us. I'm happy the governor head us. Let's hear what he's going to say.
All right,
thanks for
have
watching.
a safe drive home. So hopefully you're not stuck in traffic. Bye, everyone.
See you guys tomorrow.